Hello, everyone, and greetings from the Everyday Republic podcast. I am your host, Matthew White, and we're going to be going over six news stories that, well, first of all, interested me, but I hope you guys find interesting as well. If you guys want me to cover any other things, just let me know in the comment section. But just know that I probably won't respond to all of your questions and or comments. And so let's get started. So our first story today comes from the Associated Press. A newspaper calls for war of words against Trump media attacks. Now, first of all, this article is about a Boston newspaper, the Boston Globe, trying to attack the president for his press comments, for his attacks on the media. And you'll hear his usual saying, the press is the enemy of the people. And so the Boston Globe is just trying to retaliate, just trying to save face here. But let's break this down. So the Boston Globe had a editor out talking to the Associated Press by the name of Marjorie Pritchard. She's the deputy management director or deputy management editor for the Boston Globe, and she edits the editorial page on that site and in the local Boston newspaper. So first paragraph reads, a Boston newspaper is proposing a coordinated editorial response from publications across the U.S. to President Donald Trump's frequent attacks on the news media. We can take this several ways. First of all, we can take this as the Boston newspaper just trying to retaliate again, save face, defend their honor, if you will. But really, they don't have any, in my opinion. But they're just trying to do that. Second of all, the second way we can take this is the media is trying to attack the president. The media is trying. This is just another example of some left-leaning newspaper trying to attack the president and using his attacks on the press as an excuse. And really, the press has been attacking the president for many months now, about 2 years since the middle of 2016. Just constant barrage of attacks, and I'm not quite sure why the media constantly feels the need to retaliate every time the president says that the media is the enemy of the people. Obviously, I can see why they would want to, but I don't see why they would feel the need to, especially the moral need, because they continue to attack him, and he's just trying to again defend himself, defend his supporters, and for the most part win midterm elections. But let's not get off track here. The Globe, as it reads, the Globe has reached out to editorial boards nationwide to write and publish editorials on August 16th, denouncing what the newspaper called a dirty war against the free press. Now, how is this a dirty war against the free press? I don't know. The press continues to attack the president, more so than they have attacked any other president, probably besides Reagan, and they feel the need to retaliate against this president just because he has the stones to attack them back, to defend his own supporters. He's not just going to stand by and let himself and his future campaigns be destroyed because the media doesn't like him or somebody doesn't like him. But this is how they feel. They feel that the president is calling them fake news, disgusting news. It's an attack. It's an attack on the First Amendment, they say, and so that's where the dirty war against the free press comes from. And the use of the First Amendment here, their use of the talking point, the president is attacking the First Amendment. This is an attack on the First Amendment, and we must stop this, or all hell will break loose in our government, and we will become a communist country, a dictatorship, and we don't want that. We need to save the republic. No. This is not an attack on the First Amendment. First of all, the president is firing back at you. He's not telling the media to just stop reporting. He's simply retaliating. You attack him. You're not reporting on him fairly. You're attacking him. You're explicitly attacking him. And he's not attacking the First Amendment. He's not attacking the principle of the free press or free speech when he retaliates. You are free to say whatever you want. You are not free of the consequences of what you say. And that's what the press doesn't understand here. He's not attacking the press. He is rather retaliating against what the press has said, because there is no amendment against attacking people based on their free speech rights, or based on what they say due to their free speech rights. So, as far as I'm concerned, the president is trying not to be destroyed by the media machine known as the mainstream media. And this article goes on to say that several editorial outlets across the country have pledged on August 16th to again write and publish editorials against the president, speaking out against the president's policies, whether it be immigration, whether it be monetary policy. Lately, just recently, his EPA policies, his rolling back of Obama-era regulations, his, whatever. They need to fire back against him, and they feel this is a need. They feel that it is worth attacking the president over this. And here's the thing, guys. The press doesn't care that the press doesn't care about attacking the president. What they care about is doing it in a fashionable way. Because obviously they don't care about this president. We know that. They don't care what this president says. But one thing they do care about is their viewership. They care about their own base. Again, they hate President Trump. They wish President Trump wasn't in office. They feel that President Trump had to collude with the Russians in order to be elected. And so again, they hate this president. They don't care about this president. What they care about is their own party, their own viewership. They see that their viewership is going down. And so what this has forced them to do is pay attention to Donald Trump. They can do nothing but pay attention to Donald Trump. And it is hard to pay attention to something when you don't really care about something. And that's the thing. Also, the president is seeing a wave of Republican support, whether it be in the midterm elections. You saw the primaries that played out this week, and we all saw that the Trump-backed candidates were able to win, were able to pull out victories, especially in states like Kansas, Ohio, a retiring Republican. His special election was won by a Republican, a fellow Republican. So, the press doesn't like this. The press doesn't like that their support is dwindling and the president's support is thriving. So that's what we have to keep in mind. Anyway, the article goes on to say that the president has attacked the press, and he's attacked people. He's attacked the First Amendment, and of course the Boston Globe is like, I hope it would educate readers to realize that an attack on the First Amendment is unacceptable. We are a free and independent press. It is one of the most sacred principles enshrined in the Constitution. Really, and this is hilarious, because these people actually think that they can get us on that little enshrined in the Constitution. You guys don't care about the Constitution. The only time the Constitution is relevant to you is when you can find one statute or one amendment that will somehow, some way go in your favor. If you look at it just right, that not even in the First Amendment sense, because again, Donald Trump is not attacking them based on the First Amendment. He's not attacking the press's right to be a press. He's not attacking people's right to say things. What he's doing is retaliating, and there's a difference. But the Boston Globe feels that that he is attacking the First Amendment, and that he's attacking their right to say what they want to say. He's attacking their right to report on him the way they want to report on him, and he's not. He's simply retaliating against the things they say about him. Again, you have the right to say whatever you want. There is no right that protects you against the repercussions of what you say. So that's just how I feel about this article, about what the Boston Globe is doing. But we let's move on to a little bit more interesting news about Kamala Harris. Again, the Senate Democrat was unable to name a legislative accomplishment when asked, and this is I'm not going to say signature Democrat, but this is just really funny, because these people don't do anything. Of course, this can apply to Republicans as well, but senators as a whole, especially Democrats, they don't do anything. Republicans in the Senate don't do anything either. There is a minority of Republicans in the Senate who do things in the people's favor, who actually work to represent their people. And Kamala Harris is not one of these people. Kamala Harris is in there to repeat the same Democratic talking points that have been spoken since Reagan, and sometimes even before that. And so here we go. Senator Kamala Harris, the Democrat from California, told the Call Your Girlfriend podcast in an interview released Friday that serving on various congressional committees is her biggest win. Awkwardly, Harris struggled to name a specific legislative accomplishment the 2020 hopeful was a part of. This Breitbart story is documenting what Miss Harris, what Kamala did in the Senate, how many committees she's been a part of. Let's list them off real quick, so that way we can get a bigger idea of how useless she's been in the United States Senate. She's been on the Senate Intelligence Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, the Judiciary Committee, and she's done nothing. She's gotten nothing done. There's probably been things done in these committees that she wasn't a part of because she's a partisan hack. Republicans in the Senate are far more productive than Democrats are as of now, because they do not suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. They do not suffer from this mindset of, oh, I need to hate Trump all the time. And so it's not surprising that Kamala Harris couldn't think of one single. Overall, the American people are being cheated by Miss Harris and her congressional allies because of what they're doing and how little they're doing. Let's be clear. These people aren't working for you. They're not trying to represent you. Ms. Harris does not represent the entirety of California. She only represents Los Angeles. She represents urban areas of California. So basically the gist of this article is the uselessness of congressional figures. But let's move on. This next story is about the Iran deal, and it comes out of the Daily Caller. The title is Iran runs first missile test since U.S. withdrawal from nuclear deal. Now this is huge. This is actually a really big article, especially for the American people to realize that Iran never had an intention of stopping their nuclear arsenal from ever expanding ever since the United States went in on the Iran nuclear deal. Ever since the United States gave Iran money, ever since they bought Iran's oil, since they lifted sanctions on Iran, Iran has been using that money to secretly, behind the backs of U.S. officials during the Obama administration, behind the Obama administration's backs, Iran has been expanding their nuclear arsenal. And now Iran is actually testing nuclear missiles. And this is weird. Let's run through this logically before we get into the meat of the article. Iran was getting money during the Iran nuclear deal. Make no mistake, we were giving Iran money. We lifted sanctions off of Iran, and we gave them money, and we bought their oil in exchange for their word not to expand their nuclear arsenal. And this was a bad idea on multiple fronts, and one of those fronts being we do not want an alliance with Iran. And why do we not want an alliance with Iran? It's because Iran has been hostile in the Middle East for a very long time. Iran has been a hostile power and has a history of being short with countries, and the United States simply wanted to buy friends around the world. And not the United States, but the Obama administration wanted to buy friends. The Obama administration wanted it to look like they were doing something good for the American people, when in fact they were doing something good for their quote-unquote friends overseas. And that was a detrimental move for the United States as a whole, because it lowered our own economic outlook as far as the energy sector goes. And it also showed the world that the United States would just bow out to any country who even said they could develop nuclear weapons. That the United States would just say, here's some money. Here is some lifted sanctions. Here, let's buy your oil. That's what it sent. That's what message it sent around the world. And it's ridiculous. And now we're seeing that the United States, even when it's not funding Iran for its word not to develop nuclear missiles, now we're seeing Iran running with the ball here. In other words, they're testing nuclear missiles with the money we gave them in the past. Their word means nothing, but let's get into the article. So, just days before new stricter U.S. sanctions are implemented against Iran, the Islamic Republic has test-fired an Iranian Fateh. I can never pronounce these foreign words. It just goes over my head, obviously. An Iranian Fateh 110 short-range ballistic missile, the first such test in at least a year, and the first since the United States unilaterally withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal. And then Fox News tweeted today, for the first time in more than a year, Iran test-fired a ballistic missile in a brazen display of defiance months after President Trump pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal. And the Daily Caller reported on this, and basically the gist of the article is that the United States satellites picked this up, and it's an example of Iranian hostility towards the United States. And make no mistake, even if we were in the Iran nuclear deal, still they would have probably done the same thing. Iran doesn't like us. Make no mistake, Iran simply does not like us. They've never liked us. We've been a hostile power for them, especially for their brothers in the Middle East. We have a bad rap with these countries: Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, several more Middle Eastern countries, and we just have a bad rap with them. And being the number one superpower in the world, people would like to challenge us like we challenged the British. And so that's just what's going to happen. But again, gist of the article: Iran defied the United States and did their nuclear test instead. And make no mistake, their economy is ruined. They have no money. They're just doing this. This is a last minute show to try and get the United States to lift their sanctions and do all the good stuff that we did for them in the past. And they're not going to like what they get. They're not going to like that President Trump's not going to bow down to them just because they have a missile. Woohoo, you have a missile. Everybody else in the world has one, and we have the most. So, but this next story is about Alex Jones and his recent censorship from, well, basically everything. Alex Jones just it seemed like he was taken off of the internet, and it's fascinating. It's fascinating, this attack from the left on this quote unquote radical conspiracy theorist. And make no mistake, Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist, but to the best of my knowledge, there hasn't been anything Alex Jones has said that has been false or that has been proven to be false. And again, he's done some things on 9/11, and people are going to come back and say, "Oh, that hasn't been proven true. That hasn't been proven true." Well, that's because there's no evidence. Again, Building 7 during 9/11, there's a huge conspiracy about that, and again, none of his stuff has been proven false. Granted, some of his stuff hasn't been proven true either, but so far, a lot of the things that haven't been proven false have been proven true in recent years, and especially when it came to huge United States events in the past few years. So anyway, back on track. InfoWars, Alex Jones claims 5.6 million extra subscribers since being censored. So did he win? Well, let's gauge this. So did he win? Did Alex Jones in fact win? Win what? Win the battle between him and the media? I would think so. I mean, he told the Daily Mail, InfoWars has had the highest traffic it's ever had. 5.6 million new subscribers in the past 48 hours. And so is my radio show. And so this is huge. The media and the Silicon Valley side of things is absolutely livid about this. They wanted to take somebody off of YouTube, off of Instagram, Twitter, what have you, and just get away with it, because they expected that nobody knew this guy's name. Well, what they didn't expect to happen from this is that he would receive all the publicity. Alex Jones just received millions upon millions of dollars in publicity, and free national publicity, and has received 5.6 million new subscribers, again, in the past 48 hours. This is huge for Alex Jones. And the media and Silicon Valley is absolutely livid about this. They're angry. And here pretty soon they're going to pop about it, because they thought that nobody knew who this man was. Alex Jones? Who is this guy? Some weird right-wing conspiracy theorist? Nobody knows who he is. So they thought they'd take him down. Oh wait, 5.6 million new subscribers in the past 48 hours. Oh, that's not good. That kind of backfired. And they'll act like they're all calm about this. They'll act the same way they acted during the Republican midterms in several states, especially the Ohio congressional election, in which a Republican retired and a Republican won back the seat. The left and Silicon Valley will act as if this is good, if their victory in the midterms was solidified or wasn't solidified before those elections. They aren't now. But make no mistake, in the back room they're saying to themselves, what happened? What is this? We are losing. And this is, quite honestly, this is hilarious. This is absolutely hilarious, because they can never do what they want to do right and then get away with it. It's always going to backfire. But anyway, back to the article. Social media platforms risk creating the right-wing answer to Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. Strike him down and he will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. And that's kind of true in this sense. But let's move forward. There have been a range of high-profile voices warning against censoring Jones, who, while widely watched, appears to the majority like little more than a vicious but comic figure screaming red-faced diatribes. Yeah. Again, there's not many true fans of Alex Jones. There's probably, 10, 15 million fans of Alex Jones, which I suppose is a lot, but in a country of 300 million people, that especially 50 million Trump supporters, it's okay. So I guess it's about 30-40%. But anyway, so Jordan Peterson, the highly popular Canadian psychology professor, who is himself often the target of the political left, commented on Twitter about the Jones case, saying, quote, "Never persecute someone paranoid, lest you justify his paranoia." And so again, he right on the money there. The left is working to justify Jones, and it's really backfiring on them. Anyway, guys, unfortunately, that is all the time we have left today. Again, thank you for joining in. This has been the Everyday Republic podcast. I am your host, Matthew White, Editor-in-Chief, and I will see you in the next radio show. Again, if you have questions, leave them down there in the comment section for me. If you liked it, like it. If you didn't, you know what to do. And for more updates on radio, on news, radio podcasts such as this, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.